Hi there folks, this is Jim McCoyle here, and as you know, I am the chair of the Friends of Glasgow's local nature reserve, and this is a short video that we've prepared to give you an idea of what we've managed to achieve over the past year. As you know, the year was totally dominated by the coronavirus pandemic, and that resulted in limited opportunities for us to carry out any of our programmed events or projects. Nevertheless, we did manage to meet some of our aims and objectives, albeit in a limited way, and this short video gives you an idea of what we have managed to achieve. This isn't in lieu of or in place of an AGM. We hope to hold an AGM, albeit later in the year, because obviously we missed out last year. So we're determined to have an AGM, but this will give you a little idea of what we have managed to do over the past year. We'd like to thank everyone who joined the group last year, especially those who have recently joined us as well, which is really quite pleasing. And hopefully those of you who have been with us for a number of years will continue to support us by rejoining in the forthcoming year. So I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for supporting us, and hopefully we'll see you at an event very, very soon. Thank you. Our first project I'm going to talk about is Box Monitoring. We had planned to use a newly purchased endoscope, courtesy of a grant from ScotMid, to undertake monitoring in 2020, but due to the pandemic, we had to use conventional monitoring, and this involved individuals visiting boxes as part of their daily exercise. Luckily, 2 members were able to monitor Dosholm Park Local Nature Reserve, where it was discovered that 19 out of 20 boxes were being used by blue tits, great tits, and a pair of nuthatches. 1 member was able to monitor the 3 boxes at Bingham's Pond and reported that the 3 boxes were used by 2 pairs of blue tits and 1 pair of great tits. Unfortunately, we were unable to monitor the remaining boxes, but thankfully 2 birders supplied us with some information from a single visit to Cardowan Moss Local Nature Reserve and Hugginfield Park Local Nature Reserve. At Cardowan, at least 2 of our 5 boxes were being used, with another box found to have lost its front panel, which has since been retrieved. At Hugginfield Park, at least 5 of our 10 boxes were occupied, but sadly another front panel was lost. Unfortunately, we weren't able to monitor the boxes at Bishop Lock, but we do have a volunteer for the forthcoming year. Moving on to Box Erection, following on from our Box sponsorship scheme, a member donated £90 towards additional boxes. We added some funds so that 6 Woodcrete boxes could be purchased. 4 have been erected in Gartlock Woods, which is a proposed extension to Bishop Lock Local Nature Reserve, in the hope of providing homes for tits and a pair of nuthatches, and thanks go to Donald Wilson for all of this. The other 2 will be erected in the Milliken area in conjunction with Paul Baker to assist tree sparrows, a local biodiversity action plan species, and 1 which has already used wooden nest boxes in the Milliken area. Moving on to our major project, and this is at Hugginfield Park Local Nature Reserve, and involves the upgrading of 3 shelters. For those of you not aware, there are 3 shelters, or old man's shelters, at Hugginfield Park Local Nature Reserve, and during a green flag assessment it was suggested they be brought back to some beneficial use. So we worked with the Seven Lochs Partnership and Platform, a local arts group, and submitted a grant application to NatureScot, Plunge In the Coasts and Waters Community Fund. This proved to be successful, but although hampered and delayed by the COVID restrictions, artists were appointed, workshops and public consultations held with 2 schools and passers-by on 3 themes: water, wildlife and history, and this resulted in 3 exciting designs being prepared for the shelters. Work will commence in early April to implement their proposals. Now, moving into the wildfowl feeding and bird information events. Sadly, due to COVID, we were unable to host our normal monthly wildfowl feeding and bird ID events. However, as we'd purchased a large bag of duck and swan food, we decided to take small amounts to feed the wildfowl at both Hugginfield Loch and Bingham's Pond. During these visits, group leaflets and business cards were handed out to interested people, and this has helped us gain some new members. So welcome to all new members who may be listening to this video. It also helped that some unusual birds turned up at Hugginfield Loch, for example a redneck grebe, a Slavonian grebe, a smew, male and female scaup, and Iceland gull, to name but 5. Even Bingham's Pond turned up a first for Glasgow, with a ring-necked duck being seen off and on since mid-January 2021. Needless to say, it has become a bit of a local celebrity. Now, Biohavens Monitoring. In 2016 we installed 5 biohavens, floating islands, on Hugganfield Loch and have monitored their usage on an annual basis. Whilst hampered for a few months by COVID, we did manage to keep an eye on our biohavens, and we're pleased to see that they're still being used for preening and resting, for example pochard, gardwell and tufted duck, and breeding, with a pair of great crested grebes and a pair of coot nesting. Now on to something that's not so nice to report on, litter and fly tipping. We were unable to host any formal litter picking events, however group member John undertook a regular litter picks on his walks through Dawson Park, and a few bags of litter were uplifted on walks through the trails around the woods and marsh at Hugganfield Park. However, based on recent visits, a full-scale clean-up will be required at both these locations. We also contacted the council in respect of overflowing bins at Hugganfield and Bingham's Pond, dog dirt mess at Dawson Park and fly tipping at Hugganfield Park. All matters were resolved to our satisfaction, with gates being installed to reduce incidents of fly tipping at Hugganfield. Back to some success with grants. Not only were we offered funds by Nature Scot for the Shelters project, we obtained funding from the council's We Green grant scheme, and this helps to raise awareness of the wildlife to be found in the local nature reserves and other wildlife sites. Because we acquired a trail cam, a laptop and display boards and frames, we've tested the trail cam and hope to place it in the field during 2021. The other items will be used at events and indoor talks once the restrictions allow. Another group to give us some money was the Alp Kip Foundation, and they contributed towards the cost of bird ringing events which will be held during 2021 at local nature reserves in the city, in conjunction with the Clyde Ringing Group. On to our social media and website presence. We kept our Facebook page and our website up to date. We also had time to produce species lists and update species lists for birds at Hugganfield Park, Dawson Park, Damstead Larnley and Bingham's Pond. And links to these sites can be found on our website. Finally, with partnerships, we continue to publicise events hosted by other groups and local nature reserves via our Facebook page. We work closely with the Seven Lochs Wetland Park staff and volunteers. We liaise with council officers in respect of future LNRs, the city's local biodiversity action plan, litter and dog fouling, and potential funding sources. We've lobbied the council and have received confirmation that Bingham's Pond will be designated as a local nature reserve. We submitted objections to and publicised a proposed housing development adjoining Bingham's Pond, and this is still to be determined by the council. And we stayed in contact with other groups such as the National Park City and the Kelvin Biodiversity Network, and we've also provided advice to BBC Bristol on wildfowl locations in the city. So, in undertaking all of what we've just heard there and seen, I'd like to thank all those that continue to support and assist the group, and hopefully 2021 and 2022 will see us all back to some sort of normal. Thank you.